when the kiddies are back in
There
school.
we go. There aren't too many kiddies around.
There are more than there used to be.
Well, a little bit, but there's still...
I saw a fair amount of strollers back in the day, and everybody was like, what's happening to P-Town? Sort of like Boys Town here.
Yeah.
But, it's a desirable place to be, and,
Well, there we go.
even the straight people are coming.
They sure are. They sure are. And we hope that the straight people are coming here today as well. We've got lots to talk about.
We sure
Everything.
do.
Also, hey, happy Passover to those who celebrate.
Indeed.
I will gladly accept your invitation to your Seder. Hello.
Hello. He's throwing it out there.
Love a Seder.
One more tonight,
Love a
huh?
Seder and love some food. I think he goes all week.
Oh, does it?
And also, Happy Palm Sunday.
Happy Palm Sunday
To those who
that
celebrate. And apparently Greek Easter is matching up with American Easter.
Stars have aligned, and both Easters are next Sunday.
That is kooky. That is kooky pants.
Sure
But hey,
is.
there we go. But we've got a great show. We're going to be waving palms and everything for everybody. Last on April 1st, Alderperson Dina Martinez-Rutherford was reelected to the Madison City Council. She is the first trans person elected to the position, and we're going to check in with her on the general vibes in our neighbors to the north. It's also a really interesting story. She suspended her campaign before the election. Her name was still on the ballot, and people kept voting for her.
And that's how she got reelected?
Yeah.
So do we know why she's suspended?
Yeah, she was like, I just need to take some time and everything. We're going to find out some more information.
Yeah,
She's like,
people want me, I got to come.
Well, yeah, and she's like, this is a big responsibility, and trans folks aren't necessarily always invited to the table. And when I get this invitation, I got to answer it.
She's right.
So very excited to catch up with her. She's also a good buddy of mine from her days as a comic,
I remember that.
So I believe she's still performing too. We'll find out all about what's going on in Madison. I would love to know just the vibes of what was happening up there with the Supreme Court race and Musk coming in. So I guess we'll kind of see what's going on over there. And State Senator Sara Feigenholtz, whose work on healthcare access, AIDS funding, mental health equity, environmental protection, and modernization of the hospitality industry has earned her a statewide reputation as an effective and energetic leader. And the senator joins us in the second hour.
Wonderful.
And we're going to chat with Dr. Susan McConnell, Executive Director and founder of Let It Be Us, an organization whose mission is to provide collaborative, innovative solutions of effective recruitment and placement for children in Illinois foster and adoptive care. And actually, the senator is going to be featured on a panel this week as well. So it's kind of dovetail.
Yeah.
She's everywhere you want to be. I'm just going to call her Senator Visa.
Exactly.
Everywhere we want to be. And of course, we would love to hear from you. So give us a call at 773-763-9278. That number again is 773-763-9278. Of course, you can find us on Facebook, where we are coming at you live. Just head on over to Out Chicago Radio, and while you're there, give us a click and a like and a share. But if that doesn't float your boat, you can always tune in on WCPT, AM 820. And while you're at it, follow WCPT and our sister network, Heartland Signal, on all of the socials. And I think you can even download the podcast on wherever you get your podcasts. You can ask your smart speaker to play WCPT.
Spotify, Apple,
and there we go. All that good
everywhere.
stuff. There we are. Anyway, Annel Miller, how are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty well, thank you.
Yeah?
I think a lot of people are doing the best they can right now.
This week has just been like, what is going on?
There's a lot of volatility and fear, and other than that, everybody's fine. But I'm trying to make the best of it. We had Kathy's brother, wife, and 2 kids. Kids had never been to Chicago before.
Oh, wow.
Ages 13 and 10.
Oh, fun ages to go around.
And nice kids. We went to the Magic Lounge, which you and I are big fans of.
The one in Andersonville. Good times.
And they had a kids show that was a lot of fun. We went to that on.
Were you in the main room, or was that in
No, it was in the main room. In the main
I love
room.
that.
And it was
that room is so
sold
gorgeous.
out.
Fantastic.
Sunday afternoon, 3:30 show. And then on Tuesday, we went to the Cubs game. It was one of the coldest on record.
It was very cold on Tuesday.
But we bundled up and we had a ball. We had a great time. And
All right.
The kids loved it. And my favorite part, when Henry, the 13-year-old, was leaving, he announced, as they were waiting for their Uber to take him to the airport, y'all, they're from Marietta, Georgia, so he says,
y'all.
They say y'all.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all, I just want you to know, I can now consider Chicago my second home.
Oh, well, there we go. And we are
4
proudly
days.
open. Hello, I fell in love with it too when I came to visit my aunt around 13.
Okay, and I said, come to Northwestern, Scott Duff's alma
There
mater.
we are. Yeah.
Live downstairs. He's already excited to come kick out our tenant downstairs.
Oh,
and
good.
As a third. Yeah, so
As a 13-year-old.
13. So
Excellent.
I find that we had a great time with them, and then. What else happened? I went to a couple of birthday dinners this weekend.
All right. For you?
For me.
Okay.
For
we're
me.
extending the birthday dinners.
Yes,
there we
I
are.
had a lovely, my friend Ellen, who's a listener to our show.
Oh, I've met Ellen.
Yeah,
we
you
went and met at the Magic
That's
Lounge,
right, we went
oddly enough.
together.
There we
Yeah,
are.
She's a fan of yours, too. And we went to Charlie Martin's, a new restaurant on Clark. It's kind of a speakeasy vibe. It
All
was
right, I
really
love a
nice.
speakeasy
Yeah, it was
vibe.
good. It was real fun and had a good vibe. And then my brother and his partner cooked us a fabulous dinner last night.
How wonderful.
Yeah, so I feel very loved and blessed and happy and
fed.
And fed. I gotta lose a couple. I gotta lose a couple.
Girl, you
just
look
a
great.
couple.
Stop.
Just a couple.
It's fine.
So just, talking to people. I went to an event, an App Properties event that I get invited to every year. And, everybody's like, hey, how you doing? It's like, yeah. And then inevitably the elephant in the room comes up.
Yeah.
Because our business is affected when people aren't feeling confident about the economy and the interest rates aren't going anywhere.
Yeah.
And, everybody's just like, buckle up and, do the best we can. My neighbor, Peter, is a chiropractor. And I was talking with he and his husband, and, it's like hairdressers, chiropractor. They hear everybody talking about their, what they're thinking about. And he said he's talking a lot of people off ledges. I mean, we have to keep each other going. We have to focus on the positive where we can. But these are challenging times.
Yeah, and it's really important to find community in these times too.
Yes.
My week was kind of like filled with just kind of Aaron. I am so ready for spring. I can't even tell you. Even though I've got this cold going on, I'm like this weather this week. I'm like I cannot do the gray anymore. It's driving me kooky
I know
pants.
the sun was out the other morning. I was like, yes.
And I'm like, let's go. Oh, there we went away.
Yeah.
Hopefully, I think it's trying to peak out right now. But it's one of those things where I'm like, I get it, Chicago. You are Chicagoing super hard right now.
Yeah.
We get it. I understand that spring happens like in June for 4 days, and then we get summer. I get it, but I'm like, I'm still not happy with it. Like this for my weekend, I was able I got to stay home, and I just wanted to putter and do stuff.
Did you do like planting things or getting
I
beds
repotted.
ready?
I repotted some stuff, to put inside. I gave a pep talk to all the plants that had been moved in since October. I'm like, all right, kids, we got 3 more weeks. 3 more weeks before we can go outside. They're happy. They're hanging in there. They're doing okay. But and I went and I bought a new. I know I shouldn't be doing this because it's economically these times. With an economy like this, I went and bought a new table for the outside, little dining room table. I've been stalking it, and they got it on
Where'd
sale.
you get it?
Oh, I'm not going to say.
Okay.
But it's because I can't afford all the cool places. But but I found one that's I've been stalking, and it was great. So I've got a new table coming. We
that makes you feel good.
Put
about
out the cushions. My dog, my poor sweet dog, all he wants to poor little Emmett Otter. Emmett Otter, he's 13. He's got epilepsy. We both have elderly dogs right now.
Dogs, yeah.
And all he wants to do is just sit outside and hang out. So we were able to hang out outside last night a little bit. He was really urging me to start a fire pit so we could extend the time. He just kept staring.
Did you do that?
I did not.
Yeah.
No, I didn't.
He urged you, but you told
I urged him. I'm like, it was a little too
eventually.
chilly last night to really hang out, especially with this cold and everything.
Yeah.
But as I was running around, I'm trying to look at plants and stuff. I bought seeds. I've decided
I've thought about that, and then I always go, oh, I can't. I don't get enough sun inside the house to put them in a windowsill.
Well, this is the one that I'm very excited about because I'm chatting with people, and I ran into somebody who is a container garden designer.
Oh, a designer.
I'm
Fancy.
like, all right. I'm like, oh, cool. Hey, I've got a question for you. And then I've got these pots with the trellis outside, full sun, and I want something that climbs. What do you recommend? She's like, hyacinth bean vine.
Okay.
I'm like, wait, what?
Like Jack and the Bean Vine?
Kind of, but I found that they're beautiful, so I'm going to try to grow them from seed. So I'm doing all this, and I'm running around, and my sister and I have a new tradition of F all y'all Fridays, which is basically just we have a conversation where we get to vent. Anything
on the phone or on Zoom?
On the phone. So yeah, mine took place. It was a 45-minute conversation in a Lowe's parking lot. While I was in there.
But it done you good. I'm sure.
It was great, but it was so wonderful just to kind of find those, like that moment. Like I adore my sister. She's kind of like my person. She's great. And it was very funny. I was listening to another show this morning about clergy entering into the Lenten season. And how
busy they are.
Yeah, and how it's a big change for folks, who observe Lent. They slow down, but the clergy speed up because there's so many extra events. There's the Lenten message. There's all that stuff that's going on. We're entering into Holy Week, which boy, oh boy, having experienced it with my sister, it is a marathon. It is just a marathon. And so we take time just to kind of just to be people and be real with each other and just check in with how are you doing? What's going on? Are you taking time to, where are you finding your joy in these times? So we're kind of doing our joy homework as well at the same time. And I think it's really, really important just to find those folks in your world and just connect with them, even if it's just shooting off a text message or something. I have a friend who is relatively new to the activism world, so I've just been dropping her a line and like, "Hey, how are you doing? How are you? What's going on?" She'll be like, "I woke up with just so horrible." I'm like, "Okay, great." But what are you going to do to turn that around? Where are you going to find your joy? And so there's this kind of just
that's part of the community.
Yeah, and I think part of it is, that we need to make sure that we're reaching out to folks, whether it's to ask for help, to ask for community, to ask for somebody I just need to vent, or if it's to reach out to somebody who might need the same thing. And I think that's...
And there's plenty of somebody's out there that need the same thing.
Yeah. But I mean, but just even within, your own social circle group, whether it's with your family or friends or whatever, even just extending to your neighbors, just
Indeed.
How are you doing? I think that's a really good question to be asking these days, because it's really scary. With the whole tariff situation, everyone's 401k is just going poo-poo.
I'm getting, my friends are at retirement age. I'm getting to retirement age.
Oh, yeah.
And, years ago, you think, well, you just write it out. I'm 40, I've got many years. But those of us, and the biggest chunk of the population is in this age group right now, the baby boomers. And I think there's a universal fear going on about the future. And people are worried. But I just, we just stay the course. Don't look at your 401k. I haven't looked at mine. I'm not looking at it. I'm not paying. I can't. I'm just going to be depressed more.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people feel the same way. And, that people are also saying, like what we've been hearing since the election, I'm not watching much news. Of course, you and I have to watch the news because we have to be informed when we're on
what's
the radio.
Going on?
What's going
Yep.
on. But I think there's a way to take it in on an as-needed basis, without just, I don't have CNN or MSNBC or any of it on
24 hours.
No, I don't. Unless something big is breaking, I'm not even watching those stations right now. But my phone, and I subscribe to the New York Times and all the others, and the things that are important flash on the phone.
Oh, I turn off those updates.
If you're on social media,
turn off those notifications. No.
But, there are things that you can escape into, like the finale of White Lotus.
Oh, girl.
Which I just loved.
I thought it was great. I thought it was a great season.
I think, there's always a few naysayers. It was slow. But I think the majority of people just loved it and just were really invested in the characters for all different reasons.
Yeah.
And, I have a crush on somebody on the show.
Who?
Patrick Schwarzenegger. I just think he's adorable.
Really?
And I've gotten to know him off the show because my phone is showing all the reels. I'm sure it's on TikTok and thread, and it's all the post, the interviews now. They can talk about.
They flooded social media this
flooded.
past
And
2 weeks.
I've been like taking it all in. I've been going down the rabbit hole, and I'm just hearing about how they liked each other, which you like them even more. How, how the family dined together because and Mike White said, "You guys are a family on TV on the show. You don't have to, the whole set." But they really enjoyed being with each other. They became like their own little family.
Oh, I could totally see that.
And I just loved. They all it was a love-in, and you love to hear that about a show that you were invested in.
Yeah, because it very much felt like an ensemble show,
Yes.
even though there were very different storylines. And I guess the way they filmed it, I mean, they were 6 months together in Thailand.
Yeah.
That had to suck.
And they all loved it. They
of course,
they had a ball.
they're in Thailand. It's beautiful
So
there.
that was like my joy this week, was just getting into that show and getting into the post show. All of the social media posts and videos and interviews and memes, and just couldn't get enough of it.
Yeah, I was thoroughly entertained. Last week, I was like texting Jeremy, like, you have to watch it because I work after the show and I get off pretty late.
Yeah.
I'm like, you have to watch the show because I'm watching it when I get home. At 11 o'clock at night.
We watched late too because the family was still there, and we waited for them to go to bed, and we're like, we gotta watch it.
We gotta do it. We gotta do it. I was very excited. I was like, okay, spoilers. I was sad at the people who died. But of course, it made the most sense. Of course, those two were gonna fight, and of course, that was his what. And do you have a theory for? I have a theory for season 4 about who's going to be coming back.
I think Gary Gregg.
Gary will be. Yeah, he's kind of like the new kind of booger man.
Probably Belinda.
I think Belinda's going to come back but I think Belinda's going to come back as one of the one of the kooky rich people.
Good theory. Yes.
And
we saw her. I had so much empathy for her, and then when she decided to go along with
plans changed.
We kind
she
of
said
felt
that to her lover.
Yeah.
Who wanted nothing but to good
make
things.
her feel good.
Yes. Plans have changed. I'm like, cold.
Yeah, I was like, Belinda, no. Piper, no.
Belinda, no.
It'll probably be a couple of years because Mike White is still figuring out what he's doing next.
Oh, of course.
Someone was floating Chicago. I don't think that's going to happen.
No.
Greece, I would love to see that.
Oh, that'd be good. Oh, I'd be down for that. They were in Italy. So who knows?
We'll see where they all want to go hang out for 6 months and make a family and make a great storyline.
In Chicago, the weather's too crazy for it to be 1 week. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
for that long
true.
of a time.
That's true. The amount of time it takes to film it. But that was joyful. So yeah, we're doing. The Cubs game was fun. Being with family was fun. These are the simple things that we have to focus on.
Yeah, again, try to find your joy. It's so funny. I keep going back to, it was the Happy Unicorn. Oh, I keep forgetting the name of it. Anthony Cursor and Leah Urzendowski Cursor, they did a show at they do Too Much Light Makes the Baby Go Blind. Neo-Futurist. The Neo-Futurist, they did a show about the Unicorn Happy Hour or whatever, and it was they left us. It happened in 2017, I think, or 2018. It recently popped up as a memory from Joe Mazza, the photographer. Who was like, this was one of the happiest things. And I was like, because he shot the show. And I remember going to see it, and it was during the first regime. And it was all about how do we turn, the only thing that we can change is how we react to things so that we have any control over. And so it is to find your joy. It is also to find your moments of activism, but I keep going back to doing your joy homework, because if not, we're all going to just go underwater. And even if it's just something silly as, buying these seeds that I'm very, very happy about and very excited about. For some reason this week, my cooking game has been on point.
Oh, nice.
Not even just recipes, but the actual cook on things has been great. I'm like, what's going on here? But, just finding little moments of the things that bring you joy and that you can control, so that you can nurture yourself, so that you can have your voices heard. And I think that is something that we all need to be doing right now. And actually right now, oh boy, we probably need to be
doing, yes.
Yeah, my flown past a break, but before we go, this part about Chicago is brought to you by Team Hochberg. If you are purchasing a new home or refinancing your existing home, you need to call Team Hochberg, your trusted local lender. Suzanne called David after hearing him explain discount points on the radio because her son was purchasing a home in Colorado. David answered Suzanne's questions and encouraged her son to call him for a free consultation. Suzanne was so impressed with the service David provided, she wrote this 5-star Google review. I sent David an email today with a question about discount points that I heard him speak about on the radio, and he called me back this evening with a complete explanation. I'm so impressed with his responsiveness and knowledge. David strongly encourages everyone to check out Team Hochberg's more than 500 5-star Google reviews from happy listeners like Suzanne. Team Hochberg has helped Suzanne and thousands of WCPT listeners, but they can't help if you don't call 855-56-DAVID or visit 56david.com. That's 855-563-2843 or 56david.com. Lower.com, equal housing lender, NMLS 1124061. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll get to your calls and much more on Out Chicago right here on WCPT Heartland Signal.
The Randy Rhoads Show.
Donald Trump is saying, we need Greenland. We have to take it. And if they don't understand why we need Greenland, then we'll just have to explain it to them. We could do this the easy way. We could do this the hard way. But we're taking Greenland. He actually has been saying this repeatedly. I think it's a distraction from Signalgate, which, by the way, do not let that go. Do not let that go.
Weekdays at 7 p.m. on WCPT.
This is a WCPT Civil Rights Snapshot. In August of 2022, American Airlines hosted the Bessie Coleman Aviation All-Stars Tour, celebrating the 100th anniversary of Bessie Coleman performing the first public flight by a woman of color. Bessie was a phenomenal pilot, but her path to get there was far from easy. When Bessie was 23, she moved in with her brothers who were returning from World War I. Bessie's brothers would tease Bessie because in France, women were allowed to fly planes, something Bessie could not. Determined, Bessie applied to several flight schools across the country, where she was declined for being a woman and being of color. Remembering what her brothers said, Bessie taught herself French and applied and was accepted to the Caudron Brothers School of Aviation in France and received her international pilot's license in 1921. Coleman traveled the country giving speeches and demonstrations, refusing to speak anywhere that was segregated. Sadly, in 1926, due to a loose wrench stuck in the engine, Bessie followed the plane to her death. Bessie's death was tragic, but it shows that even in 2022, her legacy still lives on. Please stay vigilant about our civil rights. The fight is never over.
This is WCPT 820, where facts matter.
I'm Amanda Civitello with Creating Iris. Welcome back to Out Chicago on WCPT.
Welcome back to Out Chicago. Scott Duff here, along with Ella Miller, as we're just rolling along here today on a... Hopefully we've rounded the bend and spring will slowly be making its way in.
Slowly is the key word.
I know, that's the thing, but now I'm impatient.
I am too. You know, little flowers are starting to pop up. You're like, please don't freeze.
They're Chicago crocuses. They're like, what? What? Come on, I'm a flower. Come on, I can do it.
I think my tarragon is up. I noticed when I was leaving the house today. Yeah,
really?
He's coming up.
Well, you better watch that one.
I know, I love cooking with tarragon.
I know, but you better cover it because is it inside or outside?
It's out.
Oh.
But it's just coming up naturally. So,
all right,
we'll see what happens.
We'll see what happens. We'll see. Hey, and you can also see what happens tomorrow on Choose Views. Richard will be back at the mic, and his guests are Sara Jones, managing editor and co-publisher of Politicus USA, and Rich Logis and Jason Riddle of Leaving MAGA. Choose Views weekdays from 6 to 8 a.m. Central on WCPT AM 820. And the Heartland Signal website, TuneIn, YouTube, and Facebook, and all that good stuff. So start your week off with people leaving MAGA.
Yeah,
that sounds
like
great.
That
sounds great. Yeah, we've been talking about how it's been just such an annoying week, as so many weeks are. You know, this whole tariff situation, and then pulling it back. Like, everybody hates us. Everybody hates us.
And who can blame them?
Not me. Certainly not me. I mean, that's the thing that's crazy in this. Like, it totally, I'll just say allegedly so we don't get sued. It seems like insider trading that was happening over there. Now's a good time to buy 2 hours before you announce the it's just like these people these people. I'm even agreeing with Megyn Kelly, who's
What did she say?
girl. She was going after Kristi Noem, who's head of the Homeland Security, being like, girl, you are not an ICE agent. Stop cosplaying as an ICE agent with 25 pounds of hair, 30 pounds of makeup, standing in front of them like she's like,
with
like
the rifle
ICE.
pointed at the other agent. Did you see that?
Yeah, of course she thought it was her dog. I guess, it's like these people, it's nothing but photo ops and cruelty is really what it's coming down to.
Cruelty is the word I've been using as well, Scott. There's immense cruelty on the part of Republicans. To me, if you are not speaking up about what the president and his administration are doing, you are as cruel as they are, because you're doing it because you don't want to get primaried and you want to keep your power. It's very plain and simple, but it's going to be time soon when we have this constitutional crisis continue, when Trump, who was told, his administration was told by the Supreme Court to return that man, and they're just...
he's probably dead,
around.
is what it is.
Well, they say he's alive. They gave a report that he's alive.
Okay.
And they know he's alive.
And we believe them.
But
because...
I don't believe them at all. When you defy the courts, if the Republicans don't stand up for that, then
we're bye-bye.
Yeah.
Yep, we're all goose-stepping towards Mar-a-Lago.
Yeah.
I mean, that's...
Yes, it's a playbook of dictatorship and fascism that is unfolding in this country.
Yeah.
It's very obvious to those that are paying attention.
It's very true, and I think it probably might be obvious to our caller, Steve. Steve, welcome. You are on Out Chicago.
Well, you raised a really important issue, and this is why our military personnel take an oath to the Constitution, not to the commander-in-chief.
Yep.
So we've got to understand that much of what we sort of took for granted during our lifetimes and during the history of this country is really an honor-based system.
Yep.
If the Supreme Court hands down a ruling, then you're bound to obey it. This whole notion of, the Supreme Court can pass down any ruling that they want. They don't have an army, an Air Force, a Navy, an Army. They can't force me to do anything. I'm the president. This is where we are headed. What happens when Donald Trump says, no, I don't care what the Supreme Court says? Mm-hmm. And therein lies the constitutional crisis. I don't think I'm a sort of 60-40 on that. I don't think that it's going to likely come to that. But then again, this administration, anything is possible.
Yeah.
And I think that they're playing on exactly what you were alluding to, and that is that they pushed this ahead 90 days. So that means that if you were to get these tariffs that would be in place in the middle of the summer, it's a time when people are not paying attention. But there's a reason why, going back to your discussion about television and so forth, there's a reason why your favorite TV shows go off the air in May.
Oh, yeah.
Because starting in May, people go outside, especially in the Northern Hemisphere, and we enjoy everything else that you had to offer, your restaurants, your ball games, your picnics, and so forth. Nobody wants to be inside at 7 p.m., in a July day in Chicago.
Right.
And so they take a break. And that's because we're not paying attention. But you cannot afford not to pay attention to what's going on in your country this summer. They're hoping that you don't. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so this is essential. So as you guys are talking about, yes, unplug. You don't have to listen to everything as it's developing and breaking on CNN or anywhere else hour by hour, because quite frankly, you're going to stress yourself out. I do this for a living, and I found the first Trump administration to be heart-wrenching as far as my
exhausting. I know, it was exhausting. It gave me agita. Like, I swear I got an ulcer from it, but yeah.
And on a lighter note, you're absolutely right. I mean, there was a time when television was considered the ugly stepchild of the movies. And in the last quarter of a century or so, it really has come into its own in terms of quality programming. I would defy anybody to tell me what I could have gone to see at the movies that was as good as The Wire or Breaking Bad or Mad Men or White Lotus, or what you're talking about. I mean, there's some great programming out there. Unplug, binge watch something, on a rainy day. And just, don't think about some of this other nonsense. It'll still be there tomorrow.
I agree with you 100%.
Agreed. Thanks so much, Steve. But yeah, he's very right, though. I mean, this is a time that we cannot be detached as much as we want to be.
We just have to be nuanced about it. We have to do it as we can handle it. We have to look within and say, do I want to immerse myself in this or do I want to immerse myself in something else?
I don't even think it's about immersing. I think
I mean,
there are some people who are just willfully just like plugging their ears to everything as opposed to, be selective of like when you get your news, how you get your news. You're like doing all of that. That is something that we all can do, but we also need to be doing that so we know what exactly is going on. Yeah. Again, the financial situation that's happening this week, it's so very strange to me. They're like, we're going to make American products. Like, well, when are we going to do that? How long does that going to take? No one's going to do it.
That is a dream that has long ago evaporated. I mean, we cannot make the products for the price. And nobody wants to, everybody wants them made in America, but nobody wants to pay the price it's going to cost to have these products.
Indeed.
And this is why we have been getting for years and years and years most of everything we're wearing and everything we're using from China. Mm-hmm. So maybe that's their role in the world. They can produce. We produce other things. We produce research and we.
No, we don't. Not anymore because we're defunding it.
Right.
Not anymore. We're taking money away from that. Like what we had was innovation. We had education. We had like very things. We didn't have necessarily products that were produced, except for like people thought, innovation, technology, that sort of thing, an education system that was the envy of the world, and now it's slowly being eroded because the Department of Education is defunding research and defunding universities.
So much research, cancer research, all kinds of research. It's
they shut down. Like they got rid of most of the people working with AIDS, HIV, HIV/AIDS. So like that is just it's disheartening, and to make sure that their little base stays all active and whatever, they chum the waters with stupid issues, going after trans folks. That's the big thing, and it's happening. In here, the weekly account of attacks against trans community, specifically trans students. That's the big thing. That's really driving me crazy is because, it's so much fun to go after students. We've got a situation that's playing out right now here in Deerfield. Mm-hmm. Residents rallied in support of a transgender student at Shepherd Middle School who has been targeted by a conservative campaign against trans protections in Illinois. Now, the school is currently the center of a new Title IX investigation by the U.S. Department of Education over a parent's complaint about the transgender student using locker rooms that align with her gender identity. And folks in Deerfield, they turned out. You can watch, if you go to, did I put it on our page? I don't think I did. You can find the entire school board meeting. That's happening, but the school board is in support. In a statement, District 9 109 Superintendent Michael Simek asserted that the district was committed to upholding all local, state, and federal laws which protect trans people's access to facilities that align with their gender identity. The Illinois Human Rights Act prohibits discrimination based on gender identity. Chicago's Human Rights Ordinance states public and private facilities must be available for people to use the facility that aligns with their gender identity. So, and these kids are like, they're in middle school.
Yeah.
Do you imagine, go back in your time machine and go back to what it was like to be a middle school student. It's awful. Mm-hmm. Every time, like at the snack factory, we're near a bunch of schools and a lot of teachers come by after work and, you're chatting people up as they're ringing. And every time I run into somebody who teaches middle school, I make sure that I stop and tell them, thank you. Thank you, because what you are doing is a really important and really challenging job because those 3 years, like 6th, 7th, 8th, are awful. They are awful for a kid. You're going through so many changes. You are kind of becoming aware of different like social norms and social pressures and peer pressures. You are expected to be doing things and your body is like just going out of whack. They smell weird. I mean, they're mean because they're so insecure. They're just about themselves. They're mean to other people. So it'll distract from their own insecurities to go. I mean, it's an awful time. And could you imagine being this 13-year-old student who has to face the brunt of this is in a district where they've already gone through extra measures to include privacy.
they have private places to change.
There are at least
rooms.
5 places. There are also like less populated parts. An entire locker room is not used at one time.
Mm-hmm.
But fortunately, you have Deerfield people coming out being like, look, my kid just wants to play. Like my kid just wants to be a part of, they have to do gym.
What do you- yeah.
They have to do physical education.
You want to ostracize my child? What kind of love? What kind of compassion is that?
It's really it's so annoying.
And I think the majority of people that came out were for the rights of the trans student, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes. And there were still people from the conservative group that came out to
Moms for Liberty
this.
were
Yeah, no,
there.
I don't think it was Mom.
Yeah, that
was it
was
Moms
one
for
of them.
Liberty?
Yeah, that was one of them.
All right, there's another one that I can't remember what the name is because I don't really deal with them. But actually, the whole video of the school board meeting is at WindyCityTimes.com. I know that Windy City Times no longer is in print, but they cleaned up their website. It is super easy to navigate if you want to find out information that's going on in and around Chicago, especially when it comes to student rights or anything LGBTQ+. Head over there. There is the link. And to see people get up who are very, very, very passionate supporters of these students, and the school district seems to be falling in line with the parents with that. So fingers crossed, but it's a horrible time.
It's a hot button issue. They had a lot of people come out from what I understand.
Yeah. And just even we a couple weeks ago when it was the Trans Day of Visibility, and there was the march that was happening downtown, and we had a parent call in from down there who is jumping into this world because their child is trans. And I have several friends who have trans kids. One thing that I took away from that is, she was like, I was not involved in politics when I was 14, and so I don't expect my child to be involved in politics at 14. But now this kid is thrust into that position. It's unfair for a kid, and all they're doing is just living their life.
Yeah, they didn't
Nothing
sign
is
up
happening.
for that. They're just
It's the same thing that's going on in Maine, too. The Department of Education is threatening to withhold all funding from schools because of their fabulous governor.
Yes, she stood up to good old...
what's her name? Janet Mills, who stood up to Ding Dong in the office. So they're punishing the entire state for two trans student athletes. Two
in the whole state.
This is why it's just cruel and unusual.
Yeah.
It is just, and it's nothing but like chumming the water. And everybody, we talked about this last week, like women's sports is not fair for women in sports. It's like, all right, you want to talk about equality with women's sports? Pay them. Pay them what they pay the men. Give them airtime like you give the men. Help them from sexual assault by trainers. If we're really concerned about women in sports, let's start there. Let's just have equity. But we can't do that because we don't like diversity, equity, or inclusion anymore.
No, I don't like those things anymore.
We don't like those anymore.
It's hard to stomach. It sure is.
It really is.
Yeah.
And it's just like I just don't... I don't understand how people can get behind this, especially when
what are they doing to you? Letting people live their authentic lives. They're not criminals. They don't want to carry a gun. They don't want to, jump up and down naked in class. I mean, what is the problem with someone just trying to be their authentic self? What does it do to you or your child? What is it you're so afraid of?
I don't know. But now we're supposed to be calling in the State Department Politico earlier this week. They found out that there's a policy now that with the State Department that you were supposed to report your coworkers for anti-Christian bias. That's going on here. First of all,
give me a break.
Half the administration, what they're doing right now is so anti-Christian. Feed the poor, welcome the stranger, love your neighbor. All of these things. Yeah.
Nothing Christian about them.
Nothing Christian about that. So I would want to report some of the resident of 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue right now as the most unchristian person that happens to be on the planet right now, especially as we're heading into Holy Week. We do need to take a break.
Callers.
We might be able to get to you, callers, so hold on. But we are going to be speaking in the next segment with Alderperson Dina Martinez-Rutherford, who was reelected to the Madison City Council, and she is the first trans person elected to the position. So we're gonna check in on her as she was reelected, see what's going on with the second term. So please stick around. You're listening to Out Chicago right here on WCPT Heartland Signal.
The family meeting.
Hi, Cindy.
I'm just a nobody with no circle of influence.
That's never true.
I'm trying to spread this idea that I came up with, so here it is. We still have DEI. It just has a new meaning. Demagogues empowering idiots.
You better trademark that, because I will if you don't.
I'm writing it down.
Sundays 4 to 6 p.m., The Family Meeting.
You know that you can listen to Chicago's Progressive Talk on WCPT AM 820. Stream us live at WCPT820.com and on the TuneIn Radio app. Or you can ask Alexa, Siri, or Google to play WCPT from TuneIn. But now you have another option. We're simulcasting our programming overnights. 8 p.m. to 6 a.m. on WSBC AM 1240 for a clearer reception in and around the city. Chicago's Progressive Talk, WCPT 820. And now overnights on WSBC 1240 AM, where facts matter.
If you're looking to purchase a new home or refinance your existing home, you need to call Team Hochberg, your trusted local lender with over 500 five-star Google reviews. Kathy, 60, nurse, lives in a $600,000 home, called for a free consultation to consolidate over $30,000 of credit card debt she accumulated after her husband passed away. After we spoke, Kathy posted this 5-star Google review. Quote, David was very helpful. He didn't try to sell me anything and advised me to keep my current mortgage because of my low rate. David offered me excellent advice, was very patient, kind, and knowledgeable. I highly recommend his services to anyone looking for a mortgage or any financial expertise. If you'd like this type of 5-star service on your next mortgage, give us a call now at 855-563-2843 or visit 56david.com. That's 855-563-2843 or visit that website you know and love, 56david.com. Lower.com, equal housing lender, NMLS 1124061.
You're listening to WCPT 820 because facts matter.
I'm David Dodd with the Chicago Black Gay Men's Caucus. Welcome back to Out Chicago on WCPT 820.
And welcome back to Out Chicago. Scott Duff here, along with Ellen Miller, rolling along. Hey, tomorrow on Driving It Home, Patty Vasquez will be talking to Warren Hawk Price and Peter Solares of Source Solar and positivity expert and podcaster Jen Zanotti. We all need positivity and podcasts. I guess. There we are, Driving It Home with Patty Vasquez, weekdays from 5 to 7 p.m. Central on WCPT, 820 a.m., the Heartland Signal website, TuneIn, YouTube, and Facebook. I am very, very excited to have our next guest back on the show, because on April 1st, Alderperson Dina Martinez-Rutherford was reelected to the Madison City Council. Woohoo! And what a journey it was! Joining us now is Alderperson Dina Martinez-Rutherford of the Madison City Council. Welcome back to the show.
Oh my gosh, thank you for having me.
I love hearing your voice. I'm just giggling now. How are you, my friend?
I'm well. How are you?
You know, I'm hanging in there, not going to let go. That's where I am.
Yeah.
That is where I am these days.
Right? No matter how much the nails dig into anything, you're just there.
Oh, yeah. I'm not trimming these suckers. I need to get some good grip going on there. Hey, congratulations. This was quite a race, as you had suspended your campaign.
Yes, in January.
Yeah. So what can you tell our listeners a little bit about your decision to suspend in January, and then how you ended up being reelected?
Well, the second part is going to be harder to explain.
Right?
But,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, no, I can explain it. You're just such a one. You are. They need you. That's what it is. They need you.
Yeah. Thank you. So in January, I was looking at all the choices I had ahead of me and all of the things that I had ahead of me. And I was just like, I don't have enough time to run a campaign effectively.
Right.
And so I had a surgery coming up. I'm going to be moving. I have some traveling coming up, just like so much on my plate. And so I was like, I'm going to suspend my campaign and I'm just going to try to take care of myself for a minute.
Yeah.
And hopefully resource myself as someone who has struggled with poverty and income inequality and housing and food insecurity. I needed to look after myself for a minute. So for the last 2.5 months, I did that and had a lot of things happen. And then all of a sudden we had a couple of really contested races, and so I went to support my friends who were running again and fighting really hard to regain their re-election. And so we were just at a friend's house laughing, having cocktails and snacks, and somebody looked up and they go, "Dina, you won."
Oh,
and I'm
no.
like, "What?"
Oh, my God.
Yeah. Well, I guess it's because you did such a bang-up job the first go-round, and it's because you said there was an article, I believe it's the Capital Times, it's the Madison paper, that was saying that, you knew that your name was probably going to be on the ballot, and then people just voted for you because you're you.
Yeah.
Because you do come a place from learned and lived experiences, and as you were saying, of income inequality, of housing insecurity, of food insecurity, and those I remember were the big things that you were trying to push for during your first term.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And broader acceptance of transgender people. Like I hope that individuals see what a normal life I live and abnormal at the same time.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
But that I'm just a person with a heart and needs just like everyone else. And it's shocking that I have to say that so many times.
Yeah. Yeah. It's got to be exhausting.
Yeah. And our legislature here in Wisconsin has reintroduced more anti-trans bills. Again, the exact same ones they introduced in 2023. So I am up there telling them what's what and advocating for our community and showing up at the city, on the city level, and just doing what I can for broader acceptance and care for a community that faces so much adversity right now.
Yeah. It's one of those things that, I've been talking about. What is it going to take for you to get out of your house and take to the streets, or get out and have your voice heard? And there's something so... like you are that in action. You are showing up like, okay, everything is so big. Like, even like you were just saying on a statewide, it's a lot. But if you can focus in smaller into your direct community and make a difference, that to me is one of the most noble things a person can do. So thank you.
Thank you. I also have to say that my district really showed up for us.
Yeah.
Like, I can't tell you the amount of people that kept coming up to me. Hey, I voted for you anyway. Hey, I didn't vote for you and I'm mad that I didn't get to vote for you. And so many people who were like, we're so grateful that you showed up. Man, the gratitude that I have for that is vast and deep and wide,
Yeah.
So have you had to really change your mindset, Dina, about, your mind was thinking about other things, as you mentioned, taking care of yourself, and now you've been called to duty here by your constituents. How are you balancing this, and how are you approaching it now that you have an unexpected position again with the city council?
right? I think I approach it the same way I always approach everything, is like as fully and wholly as possible, and wholly, WHOLLY.
Yeah.
Just to be clear. But I always try to show up authentically as who I am and as compassionately as I can, especially for the most vulnerable. And so my job right now is to pull people into community and lean on the people who are in my community when I need their help. And so I think that's one of the things that we never acknowledge as people in politics and people in government. It takes a lot of emotional energy, a lot of showing up for people when they need it, and a lot of denial of self, which is great. And also, community is here to stand alongside you when you need it most. When I am exhausted, I will reach out to the people that I love to come alongside me and hold me up so I can get a few more steps. And because this isn't about me, it's not about the office of alder. It's about the future of our country. It's about the future lives of trans and queer and even cis people all around this state and country, so that they don't feel so alone when they don't have community to lean into.
Does this support that you got, this unexpected support, make you think about doing something even more, going for even a higher profile office to help the cause?
I have thought of that. I am going to try to take it step by step, piece by piece. This has never been seen before. Like here in the United States, we've never seen what we're going through in our, other than, back in that Civil War thing.
Yeah.
So I hate saying that, but
I know. Yeah, I feel you.
Yeah, but as
we have to.
Go ahead. Sorry.
We just have to show up for each other and care for each other as wholly and authentically as possible, and that's what I try to do.
Yeah, and that is one of the things that we've been trying to say. Like when the big picture gets too overwhelming, go micro, go start looking at what you can do, whether it's like in your community, your city, as you are doing right now, or even smaller than that, your neighborhood, whatever. There's something that doing something that it can affect your immediate life is really, really powerful. And one of the things that I'm taking away too, you said, I believe this was when you accepted the second term, is like, we have to hope and we have to have something to believe in. So let's keep believing. Let's keep building. The possibility doesn't only live right here. It lives everywhere. It lives in District 15 and in all of us. And Nina Martinez-Rutherford, I am grateful to call you friend. I am so proud of the way you are showing up in the way that you can show up, and just know that you are a remarkable human being who is truly looking out for the well-being of a community. So thank you for that.
Oh my gosh, you're so sweet. The older I get, I just keep thinking, all I can take with me is the good I do and the love that I share. That's all I can take with me.
That's all you can ever do.
Amen.
Thank you so much, Dina.
Alderperson Dina Martinez-Rutherford from Madison City Council, thank you so much for joining us today, and good luck as you enter the second term. We'll be in touch.
I appreciate it.
All right, we've got to take a quick break, and when we come back, it is the second hour of Out Chicago right here on WCPT.
The Big Picture with Edwin Eisendrath, Saturdays at 1 p.m.
I'm thankful, really, that anyone could feel they could call into this show and share their real despair and anger. I am. I can only hope that we can get past the disappointment and the anger with each other to once again focus on these longer term and very large fights.
The Big Picture with Edwin Eisendrath, Saturdays at 1 p.m.
This is a WCPT moment in labor. In the 1830s in Lowell, Massachusetts, during the rise of the textile industry, factories were hiring large groups of women ranging in ages 18 to 35 to work at their mills. The workdays were 13 hours long and had poor working conditions. By 1834, the textile market was sluggish. In response, the workers' wages were reduced by 12.5%. One of the workers, Julia Wilson, tried to organize the women to get their wages back, only to be terminated abruptly. Wilson signaled the women to strike or turn out. Over 800 women marched and signed a petition saying we will not go back into the mills to work unless our wages are continued. Ultimately, the strike failed, but they learned from their mistake and successfully battled back a rent increase on their boarding houses 2 years later. By January 1845, about a dozen of the Lowell female textile workers came together to form the Lowell Female Labor Reform Association. This would become the first organized union of women workers in American history. This has been a WCPT Moment in Labor. We're working for your rights.
When I'm in the car, I'm always listening.
Driving it home with Patty Vasquez. Patty Vasquez. Weeknights 5 to 7 on WCPT 820.
NBC News Radio, I'm Lisa Carton. The U.S. is planning a second round of nuclear talks with Iran next week. Scott Carr has the latest from Washington.
The White House called the first round positive and constructive after Saturday's meeting between high-level U.S. and Iranian officials in Oman. The Wall Street Journal says Iran sought sanctions relief from the U.S. in exchange for limiting its nuclear program. Iran's foreign minister says another round of talks is scheduled for this Saturday and may include a framework for a new nuclear accord.
The director of President Trump's National Economic Council says numerous countries have already come to the U.S. looking to sign trade deals in response to new global tariffs announced in recent days. Kevin Hassett told CNN's State of the Union that economic uncertainty will subside as more and more countries make deals with the U.S. to avoid high tariffs.
The whole point of the trade policy is to address the national emergency that we're too dependent on foreign products.
Hassett said the tariffs on China are aimed at protecting U.S. national security by making the country less reliant on imported goods. Police are investigating an early morning fire at the Pennsylvania governor's mansion as arson. According to the Pennsylvania State Police, firefighters responded to the Harrisburg residence of Governor Josh Shapiro at about 2 a.m. The governor says his family was home at the time but were able to escape unharmed. The fire reportedly caused significant damage to part of the home, but there were no injuries. The state police are offering a $10,000 reward for information that leads to the arrest and conviction of the person suspected of setting the fire. Tens of thousands turned out for a Bernie Sanders rally in downtown Los Angeles. Saturday's event was the latest stop in Sanders' fighting oligarchy tour. Sanders told the crowd, quote, "We're moving rapidly toward an authoritarian form of society." You're listening to the latest on NBC News Radio.
This is Chicago's Progressive Talk, 820 AM, WCPT Willow Springs, and online at WCPT820.com, where facts matter.
You've been working hard all day and didn't have time to catch up on the news during work.
And that phone just wouldn't stop.
We've got you covered. Joan Esposito, live, local, and progressive.
We will fight as many places and as many times as it takes to get this power back.
Joan Esposito, afternoons from 2 to 5 p.m., WCPT 820.
The Hal Sparks radio program.
I don't mind talking to trolls. I don't mind talking to ever-Trumpers. I really don't, you guys. And I'm not one of these people who automatically vilifies all Republicans or can't talk to a conservative and understand that they believe in their ideology. I'm not one of those guys. But I damn sure I'm going to push back. And I'm not going to wilt when you yell fake news.
Hal Sparks, Saturdays from 11 to 1 on WCPT 820, Chicago's Progressive Talk.
The latest politics.
We both took an oath to support and defend the Constitution of the United States.
Global news.
We do know one thing. This tragedy would never have happened but for Russia's needless invasion of Ukraine.
And business updates.
These are banks that people rely on to get cash, and we need to make sure that they are protected.
And factual conversations. WCPT 820, Chicago's Progressive Talk.
Alexa, play WCPT.
WCPT from TuneIn.
I'd like to welcome you to WCPT AM's Out Chicago. Think of us as Sunday brunch with your gay best friends. Now please welcome your host, Scott Duff.
Welcome back to the second hour of Out Chicago. Scott Duff here and Ellen Miller rolling along here. Oh, there we are. Oh, Ellen's mic is not on right now.
Not here.
Oh, there we go.
Am I here?
There you are. You are here.
I'm actually
I hear
here.
you and I see you.
Oh, that's very
and also on Monday on Live, Local, and Progressive, Jonas Pizzito will be joined by Writers Theater Artistic Director Braden Abraham, Chicago Tribune investigative reporter Ray Long, Dan Schaefer of the Recombulation Area and Civic Media in Wisconsin, and American Writers Museum President Carrie Cranston on the new exhibit American Prophets, Writers, Religion, and Culture. Live, Local, and Progressive weekdays from 2 to 5 p.m. Central on WCPT, Chicago's Progressive Talk for 20 years. And also, I'm so happy right now to have our next guest on. She's been serving Illinois' 6th District as state senator since 2020, and we are so grateful to be joined by State Senator Sara Feigenholtz. Sara, welcome. Senator Feigenholtz, welcome to the show. I'm sorry to be so informal.
Okay. Happy Sunday morning.
Happy Sunday morning to you. Thank you so much for taking time out to join us today, Senator. Since this is our first time chatting on the show, I want to start off with a question I ask all of our elected officials. What led you to public service?
Well, I wish I could tell you that I woke up in, my freshman year of high school and said, I want to be a state senator, because that is not the case.
Oh, yeah, no, not at all. I know, for many people.
I studied speech and performing arts undergrad and ended up sort of being enticed, should I say, into the political science department, because they would poach theater majors to the debate team.
That totally makes sense. Mm-hmm. Being comfortable in public and speaking and all that good stuff.
So that's how it happened. And then I got hooked and double majored and became very interested in international politics as well as government. And life just happened. And I ended up working for then State Rep John Cullerton, who went on to the Senate and then became the Senate president. And when he decided to leave, I was in the Illinois House for...
Right.
Yeah, he kind of fired me and made me run.
Oh, no. Okay.
Tough love.
You're doing it. Come on.
Exactly. He's like, I did it. Now you can do it, and you'll be great. And if you lose, you can have your job back.
Well, there we go. Job security and somebody behind who's 100% behind you saying you can do this. Amazing.
Yeah. He was an amazing mentor, and to this day, when he calls me, I jump. It's like once staff, always staff. Mm-hmm. So, and wonderful mentor, just a great human being. And I was very, very fortunate to meet him.
So, first of all, I want to say hello and thank you for being on, and happy Passover, Sara, to you and your family today. So
thank you so much.
I know you're fighting the good fight. I follow you. We're friends. Tell me right now what your biggest hope is and what your biggest fear is right now for what's going on from where you sit in the state government.
Well, I think that if we think back to our 4 years with the current leader of the free world, Donald Trump, we wondered when he was going to be gone. And all of us, did anyone here feel that he could ever get reelected?
I thought he'd never, especially after January 6th. There's no way this country will elect him again after that. Yeah, how stupid I was.
Well, it just is. I still haven't quite figured it out. And so anything that we're experiencing now is sort of, the second iteration. And I think that we look at it differently. We're not in a pandemic at the moment. And I just thank God we're in Illinois. Let me put it that way.
Yeah, I feel the same way, yeah.
I've been meeting with a lot of community groups and sort of doing Springfield updates. And, I walk into the room and a lot of glazed eyes. And what I say to them is, let's just address the elephant in the room. And we talk a little bit about the Trump administration and some of the things that are going on and the threats to human rights, the threats to LGBTQ rights. And I can honestly look at them and say, you have landed in the right state, because we've locked all this down because we knew it could happen again, because it happened. So much of what we have done here in our state protects vulnerable communities and communities that this administration threatened to take rights away, threatened to remove the right to choose, threatened our guests from other countries running from oppressive governments. And honestly, you're in the best shape you can be. I say stay in Illinois.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. That's how we feel. What about these threats about cutting off federal funds if our state does not comply with federal ICE agents in their deportation efforts? Are you worried about that? Is that something that you think he could actually get away with?
Well, Ellen, the event that you and I saw each other at the other night, I was sitting next to Dr. Garofalo. I think you may know him. He works at Lurie, and he does a lot of research and works with gender-affirming care, things that are important to the community. Yep. And he told me that in 3 days he lost 17 grants. Wow. 17 grants.
Wow.
Yeah. So, but, we're the kind of state that will rally. And here's what why I'll tell you. For every door that closes, another one opens in Illinois, because we have people who say, well, I guess we're just going to have to raise the money and pay for it ourselves, because we are going to continue this work. And sitting at another table was someone from a foundation who is, and I can't divulge it, I can't, because it's their story to tell,
right.
But we will have, we may not be able to replace all of the money, but the spirit our spirit will not be broken. And we are going to continue to do the work and take care of the families who are involved in, who are, in the pipeline, right, for whether it be kids coming out, whether it be everything, just abortion. I don't want to go, we don't need to go into detail here, but I'm sure the listeners understand what I'm saying. But sure, we're, Illinois is not, this is just temporary, and we could figure it out. We will rise.
Yeah.
I love your confidence
and optimism.
Your optimism.
I know,
yes,
the spirit of Chicago is we will, and that feels like it is taking over the state of Illinois, which is, thank goodness. So,
yes, it's not just Chicago. Scott, it is not just Chicago. This state is blue.
Yeah. Well, but there are some places, which leads to my next question. There are some places that are red, especially downstate, a little bit further south of us. What is that conversation like with some of your Republican colleagues who might be, down from downstate?
Oh, I really don't want to talk about this.
Okay. I'm sorry.
When I got to the General Assembly, I could tell you there were so many moderate Republicans.
Yeah.
And I'm still looking for them now. But the downstaters, I believe in the House, they're called the Eastern Bloc.
Oh, gosh. Okay. That's a rather dubious nickname there for them.
I think that, the good news is that, but I think it's more partisan than it is, I think it's more partisan
than ideology.
And there's not a lot of it. The good news is there's not a lot of it. And hopefully people will be respectful, but there are certain members of the party that are having a little bit of fun with making sure that agencies are complying with, some of the things that the president has talked about eliminating. as you know, whether it be, gender affirming care or DEI matters. And some have resisted, as you know.
Mm-hmm.
Some have complied. Mm-hmm. Some have said they're complying, but not really complying.
Good.
I mean, it's all across the board.
Yeah, do you ever get the opportunity to chat with some of these people when it comes to, especially, I don't like to call it DEI because that just kind of makes it a thing, as opposed to diversity, equity, and inclusion. Do you ever have the opportunity to ask to people who are trying to enforce these diversity, equity, and inclusion removal policies to ask which part of diversity, equity, and inclusion do you not like?
No, I have not.
All right. Well, I think that is a very interesting question to ask for people, so we can kind of figure out exactly what page they're on. What is it that you're so afraid of, especially since Illinois seems to be doing such a great job of standing up to all of this pressure and everything. One of the things that we like to do on this show, it's fun to complain about things because that just feels good, but it doesn't really solve any problems. And we're trying to give little tiny action steps, that folks can take, whether it be for your country, your state, your city, your community, however small it is. What advice do you have for your constituents who really want to do something to help slow things down, or to help continue, or to speed up these protections that you and your colleagues are so had the foresight to put into place?
I think a really good example would be getting involved locally. First of all, don't go it alone. There are people who share your angst, and you will, if you join a ward organization or a movement organization, whether it's, look at Wisconsin and the Supreme Court race.
Right.
Okay, that's a really good example. A lot of folks here in Chicago and in Illinois joined the swing state operation that went up to Wisconsin every week and every weekend, knocking on doors to make a difference. And they'll train you, and you go with a group. And, a lot of wonderful relationships are forged when this is in these efforts. But, you can't, it goes without saying everybody has to vote. But when you're in a blue state, especially in Lakeview or along the lakefront, and in Cook County, you are in a bubble.
You are in a blue bubble, yes.
You are in a big, you're in a big bubble. And you have to sort of, hang out with people who are aware of that, know where to go and what to do and how to crunch numbers. There's a science to this that's fascinating. It doesn't just, it's a science. There's a path to victory and how you get there and what you have to do to get there, which is what you learn when you first run for public office. The technology and the knowledge is getting very, very precise, I should say. And I think that it's a great hobby, avocation, but more than anything, it's great for your mental health because a lot of people are feeling very vulnerable and alone. Indeed.
And that a sense of community is so important. And people will have a couple of opportunities this week to gather in community with you. None other than the state senator, Sara Feigenholtz. You have on April 16th, you are hosting the LGBTQ plus Friends and Allies event at Sidetrack. What is in store for that event?
Well, my MC is Precious Brady Davis.
Okay. Precious. We love her.
She's a showstopper. And it's just an opportunity for our community, the LGBTQ community, to gather and so that we can tell them that I'm there for them. It's me rallying my allies and my friends and just in community to get together. And of course, everybody knows that there's always an opportunity for a show tune or two.
Always an opportunity.
That's how you get the gays there. Promise show tune.
She's no dummy. She knows how to do that.
I would like to be able to say Ethel Merman will be doing a cameo, but that's unfortunately not going to happen. But I have a lot of great support from my alders and committeemen around me and the general community, and it's an opportunity to get together, have a slushie, and I'm welcoming everyone. It's 6 to 8 p.m. It's a $50 entrance fee if you can handle it. I'm likely to donate it to Howard Brown or Center on Halstead because Lord knows they need as much love as they can get. This is not, so please come by. What I've been doing with all of these looming cuts and threats around us is locking things down for the providers in my community. I want to make sure that, trans kids and that we have resources and be way beyond my district. I've been working with, Shannon Parker with Brave Space and other affiliates to make sure that in the prevention world for youth, especially Black youth, we are making sure that they're welcome in community and that they have the tools they need to stay safe and alive.
Well, we appreciate you for those efforts. We know you're at the forefront. I can't believe this is the first time we've had you on our show because hearing you talk and from your heart about how you support the community tells me we need to have you come back early and often to share what you're doing and what others can do to help the cause.
I would love it.
Thank you.
And again, just real quick, because I know not only are an advocate for the LGBTQ community, you are also a big advocate for adoption rights and adoption advocacy. And on the 15th, you're going to be participating in the Ladies Leadership Luncheon hosted by Let It Be Us. We're actually speaking with Dr. Susan McConnell right after you.
I saw that. I was just texting Ellen and telling her that I think that we have been stalking each other. Yes, I was adopted. I helped establish the Adoption and Child Welfare Committee in both the House and the Senate, and am very committed to the gold standard of adoption and making people aware of some of the stigma adoption carries and how we must rid ourselves of that and do everything we can to keep families together way before we have to take, measures.
Right.
But yes, Working and Let It Be Us is doing an incredible job in placing kids in safe and loving foster homes, and I think it's something everyone should consider becoming a foster parent.
Beautiful.
Well, and this is why the folks of Illinois 6th District and everybody in Illinois is thrilled that you are our state senator.
Indeed.
Senator Sara Feigenholtz, thank you so much for taking time out to join us today.
Yes, and have a nice Seder with the family, and we wish you a happy Passover.
Cannot wait for that second box of matzah, Susan.
Ooh. Oh, I'm telling you.
You're making us jealous.
I love it. Senator, thank you so much. And best of luck this week having community with folks here in Chicago and all the work you're doing in Springfield.
Keep fighting the good fight, Sara. I know you are.
Oh, I am. Thank you, guys. Have a great day.
See you Wednesday. Thanks.
There we go. All right, we've got to take a quick break, and when we come back, there is more Out Chicago right after this on WCPT Heartland Signal.
The family meeting.
I heard someone say this week somewhere on television. The difference with white history is that white history has demonstrated that they looked at land and people as something to be conquered versus lived with or nurtured. You see that going on right now. Orange Menace in the White House. He doesn't see Gaza as an opportunity to create peace. He sees it as a place he can conquer and monetize.
Sundays 4 to 6 p.m., The Family Meeting.
This is a WCPT Civil Rights Snapshot. Earl Lloyd was the star of West Virginia State's basketball team, leading them to 2 championship games in 1948 and 1949. Due to Lloyd's success, he was drafted by the Washington Capitals in the 9th round, and October 31st, 1950, Lloyd became the first black player to play in the NBA. Joining an all-white team was intimidating, but my teammates were immediately welcoming, said Lloyd on the experience. However, some fans, even some commentators, were not so kind, one even using a racial slur during Lloyd's first game. Lloyd spent 9 seasons playing in the NBA, ending his career with the Detroit Pistons in 1970. After playing, Lloyd stayed in Detroit, becoming a scout and then later an assistant coach of the Detroit Pistons before breaking the color barrier again, becoming the first black head coach in the NBA. Lloyd was inducted into the NBA Hall of Fame in 2003. Please stay vigilant about our civil rights. The fight is never over.
Chicago's Progressive Talk, WCPT 820, where facts matter.
Hey, this is Mark Patton, and I'm from Spring Clean My Nightmare on Elm Street, and you're listening to Out Chicago.
And welcome back to Out Chicago with Scott Duff here, along with Ellen Miller, moseying along.
Yes, we are.
Feeling inspired by people who are just showing up.
That's right.
Doing the good work
So
that's out
important.
there going on there right there. And speaking of folks that are doing the good work, Let It Be Us, an organization whose mission is to provide collaborative, innovative solutions of effective recruitment and placement for children in Illinois foster and adoptive care. I'm so excited that we're going to be speaking with the executive director and founder of Let It Be Us, Dr. Susan McConnell. Dr. McConnell, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Did I get the mission of Let It Be Us right?
You sure did. Perfectly. Recruitment and placement for children in Illinois foster care.
All right. Well, great. Are you, sorry, I hate to ask, are you outside right now? Because we're getting a little wind going on there.
Nope. It's all quiet now. Thank you for your patience.
Wonderful. Of course. And thank you for taking your time out to join us today. So what was the impetus for starting the organization Let It Be Us?
That's a great question. So more than 20 years ago, I was part of a group of people who formed the Heart Gallery in Illinois, which is a recruitment tool for children who are awaiting adoption. And I'm an adoptive parent, and I learned that there was quite a divide between the children who are waiting and the parents who wanted to adopt. And so I did that for another 10 years, worked on that project, and then I just decided to start a nonprofit so that I could help those children become adopted.
Amazing. And what sort of programs do you offer?
Well, right now, I can tell you we are very strong in recruiting foster parents and adoptive parents. And then we also specialize in placing children. So we operate a very proprietary database of over 1,000 licensed foster homes. Caseworkers can come to us in need of a placement, and we can use that database, and we can use very targeted search tools, and we can find just the right home for a child, because if you can place the child in the right home, then that lessens disruptions and that helps that child moving forward so that they can have a wonderful life.
So what do you think are the main obstacles from keeping somebody from making a decision to foster a child and with the hope of potentially adopting that child?
Honestly, what we're doing today is we're raising awareness. I believe it's awareness. I believe they just don't know. And let me tell you one more thing. It just doesn't cost anything. This is what I believe is the future of adoption. Domestic adoptions, the numbers keep going down, as the same for international adoption. These numbers are growing. This is a family building opportunity. Doesn't cost anything. A child who is adopted through foster care is able to go to a state college for free. So, and there's a lot of support for these kids and for these families. So it is a wonderful family building opportunity.
It really is. I had not known about that with the state schools. What is the process? You know, you said you have this wonderful database of 1,000 foster families. What is the process for folks who might be interested in fostering or becoming one of those families? To me, that seems the most daunting too, just to make sure that, you know, you can even qualify.
Well, that's a really good question. So people think you have to own your home. You do not need to own your home. You do have to have an open bedroom. You need to be financially secure. You don't need to be rich. You don't need to be married. You need to be able to care for a child. You need to pass a federal background check. And then you need to go through training. It's over 40 hours. DCFS does it, and that's so that you can care for a child who's been through trauma. So it's very important training. So it takes a while to get a license. It's a very important license. This is for serious people. It's serious work for serious people.
And what about age? Is there an age limit or restriction?
There isn't. You just need to be capable of taking care of a child.
All right. Well, there we go. Now, with this work of creating like recruiting and placement of Illinois foster and adoptive care folks, where does the LGBTQ community fit into that?
That is another good question, because that community has been discriminated against in the past. The doors are open. This is a chance for them to become parents. And don't forget, we also have children in foster care in need of placement who are also within the LGBTQ community. So there's the perfect lineup right there.
Yeah. And do you, by any chance, have the numbers of like how many kids are currently within the foster care system? Like how big of a population are we talking about?
In Illinois, we're talking about 18,000 children right now.
Wow.
How many are available for adoption? That remains to be seen. It's definitely, it's at least 10%. It may be more. There's new legislation that is helping children stay with family. Maybe it's extended family, and that's wonderful. That's great. But they are identifying ways for children to either stay with families or identifying whether they need to be adopted, and identifying sooner so that children don't grow up in foster care, because foster care is supposed to be a respite, short term. It's not supposed to be a childhood. So historically what's happened now is it's become a childhood, and then that's a terrible thing to age out of foster care without a family.
Right.
So now they're trying to say, let's either figure out if this kid can stay home or let's try to find an adoptive family.
Wow, that is really important work that is happening. Let it be. How? So I know we tried to have you on, I believe, last week, but you were down in Springfield, out there lobbying for I'm assuming these policies. How active of a lobbying group do you have with Let It Be Us?
Well, it's such an interesting time, because I'll have to tell you the doors are open. Legislators are interested. There's a new director of DCFS. She's been with us for a year now. Her door is open. Like, change is now. This is our time. It's just a wonderful opportunity in Illinois now. We've ranked very, very low in all of this, so now we're really ready. We're so happy at Let It Be Us. We have this contract to manage all of the foster care adoptions in Illinois. So we're ready to make change.
Congratulations on that. That's big. Is there is this a big radical change from what is currently being offered, or is it kind of just like a tweak of like, hey, let's look at it from this angle? Like, is it a big radical change, or just something like, oh wait, over here? Am I making any sense? I'm sorry.
I think it's it's a great perspective. No, it's a huge shift. We had 22,000 children in foster care. Now we have 18.
Wow.
We don't want children in foster care.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And there's some different categories for foster care. I know there's specialized, therapeutic, traditional, emergency.
Yes.
What differentiates them, and what would somebody that was thinking about being a foster parent, which of these? How could they choose which would fit them best?
Sure, that's a great question. So emergency foster care is for someone who's interested in helping out short term. Therapeutic is for someone who's interested in helping out with a child who has more significant needs. Mm-hmm. Maybe someone who needed to be hospitalized for a while, or someone who was in a group home for a while.
And what would that foster parent look like that would want to take on the child that has the therapeutic need?
It might look like a nurse.
Okay.
It might look like a teacher.
Okay.
And then we have specialized foster care and traditional foster care. So traditional means they've been through less trauma. Specialized means they've been through more. And then we have children who have medical special needs. We have emotional special needs. So what you really have is an array of needs of children, and then you try to recruit an array of families with different skills and gifts and match them up.
So if our listeners out there are hearing this and thinking this is something that they are called to do, it does feel like a calling, because it's selfless. It's relatively selfless in terms of let's help these kids out. What would be the very first steps of beginning this journey towards becoming a foster care parent?
We've made it so easy. You simply go to letitbeus.org. You go to events and you sign up for an event. You can sign up for an event to learn to be a therapeutic foster parent, emergency foster parent, specialized or traditional foster parent, or how to adopt through foster care. You can attend all of them, or you can simply get in touch with us, make a phone call where there's an 800 number, or you can simply complete a form. There are multiple ways to reach us and multiple ways to work with us.
Amazing. And, you do have an event that's coming up this week on the 15th, Tax Day. What is on the docket for the event?
So that is called the Ladies Leadership Lunch. And we have Senator Sara Feigenholtz, who came to her family through adoption, who's speaking to us about girls in foster care and their outcomes, and adoption and how adoption plays a role in their outcomes. It's at the Union League Club. We still have some tickets available, so if anyone would like to go, they're welcome to come. And then in May, we have a giant fundraiser downtown, which is just a beautiful, beautiful event called Be Mine. And again, all of these are on our website under events, and people are welcome to come and be with us.
Amazing. And for more information, to find out about all of the incredible programs that Let It Be Us offers, or if you are interested in becoming a foster parent, foster family, you can head over to letitbeus.org to find out more information and to grab some tickets for some upcoming events. Dr. Susan McConnell, thank you so much for shining light on the issue, because I think a lot of LGBTQ folks never really thought that they could be parents or have a family. And a lot of folks have that love, that the resources and the space to give that to a kid who is in desperate need of that. So thank you for shining a light on what's going on here in Illinois. Thank you for this radical new approach. I think it's very exciting, and best of luck to you this week with the ladies' lunch that's coming up, and the big event that is happening in May. So
you're welcome.
There we are, Dr. Susan McConnell, Executive Director and founder of Let It Be Us.
Thank you. Please have us back, because this is so important. We really need to reach all communities, so please have us back.
The door is always open, Doctor. Great. So if you ever have something, just give a call. We'll come and run it.
Okay.
Investing in our youth is never an issue that gets old, or it always needs a light shined on it. So you can be sure we'll have you back.
Okay, well, thank you so much.
Thank you. Dr. Susan McConnell from Let It Be Us. We are going to take a quick break, and when we come back, it is the final thrilling show-stopping moments about Chicago right here on WCPT Heartland Signal.
Around the Town, Chicago, with Al Beslaw.
My dog eats dog food now. Bravo. She eats good, she does kibble, and she does wet. But everything has to be topped with the farm to pet topping. You just sprinkle it on the top of her food. She comes running to it and starts gobbling up her food. I've even tried it. It's really...
And Frank's doing much better now. Okay.
My coat is really good.
His hair is shiny.
Sunday afternoons at 1 on WCPT 820.
While retinitis pigmentosa takes Mark's vision, his family gives him hope, whether at the family business or at home with his wife and sons. He knows he's not fighting alone. For 50 years, the Foundation Fighting Blindness has funded research into treatments and cures for blinding retinal diseases, providing hope to people with vision loss. And for Mark, winning the fight means being there for his family. The Foundation Fighting Blindness. Together, we're winning. Help us end blinding diseases at fightingblindness.org.
If you have ever thought about remodeling your bathroom but were worried it would take too long or cost too much, then stop worrying. Right now, Jacuzzi Bath Remodel has designed a collection of high-quality custom products and perfected the one-day remodeling experience so you can enjoy your new bathroom faster than ever before. It's a worry-free bath remodel from the most trusted brand name in the business, Jacuzzi. A jacuzzi bath system fits in your existing tub space. It's a no-mess installation with an amazing style selection, factory-certified installers, and a limited lifetime warranty. Call 800-826-9895. That's 800-826-9895 right now and get 50% off installations with no interest and no payments for 12 months. Replace that old bathtub today with a walk-in shower for a safer bathing experience. If you have lived in your home for over 15 years, it's time to remodel your bathroom. For a virtual or in-home appointment, call 800-826-9895. That's 800-826-9895. 800-826-9895.
Because facts matter. You're listening to WCPT 820.
I'm proud to be out Chicago, and you should be proud to be listening to Out Chicago on Chicago's Progressive Talk.
And welcome back to Out Chicago. Scott Duff here, along with Ellen Miller, rolling along on this Palm Sunday.
Yes.
There we are. Hey, and I just want to remind everybody, tickets are sold out for our May 3rd anniversary broadcast at Max and Benny's restaurant in Northbrook, but we hope that you will tune in between 11 a.m. and 30 p.m. to hear Hal Sparks, Patty Vasquez, Jonas Mazzino, Richard Chu, and little old me. And you're going to be able to be there now.
I'll be able to come now, too.
Now, Ellen Miller will be there as well with special guests. The event is sponsored by Max and Benny's, Fazio Insurance, Smart 265, the Democratic Party of Kane County, the Southland Friends of Labor, Democratic Party of McHenry County, and McHenry County Democratic Women.
Oh, that's the McHenry County is the one. That's always the outlier. They have voted Republican in both in the last few presidential
Well, now
elections.
they got the Democratic women who are coming after them, so look out.
They're getting real in McHenry.
And that's very exciting, though. I can't believe, well, A, that you're able to join now. It worked out with your schedule.
It's a bittersweet thing
Right.
for me.
Yep.
I usually go to New Orleans every year to Jazz Fest. In fact, I've been every single year since 1988, except for the years where they didn't have it during the COVID pandemic. But I have had to make the tough decision because my pup is suffering with lymphoma and her time on the planet is limited. So even though she's doing great right now, I just know that my heart would be home if I was down there, even though it is two of my favorite weeks of the whole year that I look forward to because I get to play a lot. I get to play often. I get to play at the fest, and it does. It does, and I'm like I've been having a moral dilemma on the feeding. You know, the feeding of my.
Well, you got to go on your blues crew. I mean, this is not. You should be very, very grateful. And I know you are. For having had so many different experiences and everything.
And I have to look at it that way.
And
but,
it's a great time, and I know it's a really wonderful time for you to kind of to feed your artistic soul because. We all need those moments of joy, finding those moments to like feed the artist that is within you.
You understand?
I totally get it.
And but I have made the tough decision that my dog is a part of our family.
Yeah.
And we love all the time we were spending with her, and I had to make that decision. So I will be here as opposed to be gone for the next couple.
But then you get to celebrate the 20th anniversary.
I'm excited about
Progressive Talk,
I'm
which
excited
is very,
about
very
it.
exciting.
I want to check the food out there too.
Right? Who doesn't?
Hopefully we'll get fed, right?
For 4 hours. Hopefully, yeah, we better be.
It'll be interesting to see who gets a word in edgewise with all those people.
Oh my gosh, we're a bunch of jibber jabber. Like we just quiet.
Tune in to
Patty,
check that out. That in itself will be a reason.
It's
going to
be like the early days of The View, and it was just everybody just talking over each other. Like,
There'll be some over talking, but we'll do our. I hope they'll have some semblance of organization.
Oh,
to
I'm
it.
sure
And everybody's a pro, so that'll be fun. There's a lot of things I always miss. My brother's birthday always happens when I'm in New Orleans. Kathy always celebrates her birthday in New Orleans. We'll be home for both of those.
Amazing.
Yeah, and there's we're in the bubble here. I mean, even we talk about states like Louisiana, it's a red state, but New Orleans and surrounding areas are very blue. So, you go from one bubble to the other. But there's nothing wrong with being here in our fair city of Chicago for an extended period of time because
an extended period of time.
I won't be able to go anywhere for a while. I haven't really, I was lucky enough to be on that cruise in January because I had paid for it in advance and Kathy was going to be home, and it was a great week. But we're just going to buckle down and stay home for the foreseeable future, and it's a great place to be.
It is. It most certainly is.
A lot of plays to see and music to see.
And just summertime happening in the area.
Summertime.
I know. Well, and again, in the May 3rd event, where we're celebrating 20 years, make sure you visit our anniversary webpage where you can find details about the special broadcast and photo and sound galleries that document our 20-year history. The address is heartlandsignal.com/anniversary. I haven't sent any pictures in. Have you? We were asked. They asked if we. I know. Oopsie doodles.
Scattered. I got to get
oopsie doodles. I'll go through.
I actually looked for some, and did I find? Yeah, maybe I saw.
There are pictures of us like from our remote broadcast when we did a GS Tequila and Steve Grand was there.
Yeah.
There's stuff we went to a couple of
Lady
events.
Gregory was our first one, I think.
I think it was. Yes, it was. Oh my gosh.
We did one at the Swedish Museum, American Museum.
Done a couple at the Swedish Museum. We did one at it was a barbecue joint.
The barbecue joint's no longer there, but yeah. Those were fun.
I know. We've got some photos. We'll make sure that I've totally forgot about that until
I meant to get those.
All right, we'll get some.
We'll get those going.
We'll keep adding to the anniversary page throughout this whole situation.
20 years. And, tell a friend. A lot of people say, well, I didn't realize. I meet people all the time and tell them about the show, and they're like, you mean there's a liberal voice on radio? You mean there's a liberal talk station? Yes, there is. Tell your friends. It's, as you might imagine, we don't have the biggest advertising budget in the world, and a word of mouth is really important to what we do. So
absolutely.
When they find us, they like to just listen all day long because, in these days of all the controversy, the sadness, the
anxiety.
This is a safe place for you to come and share and listen to other like-minded people. There's so many of them. And
each with different perspectives, too. That's the thing.
That's the key.
And also, don't forget, if you love this show, which I know you do, you can always listen to, rate, and share the Out Chicago full episodes and featured interview podcasts. They're available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, TuneIn, iHeartRadio, YouTube, and Amazon. Just search Out Chicago or get the links from our show page by visiting heartlandsignal.com and clicking on our lovely picture. The latest additions to our featured interviews podcast were last week's conversation with Helena Handbags, David Serta, and Carolyn Pinta of the Buffalo Grove Pride Parade.
I'm getting excited. We're come June 1st.
We got to match outfits. We still have to talk about outfits.
Okay.
I know it's going to be challenging because you're going to a graduation right after that.
But I could always,
But we need an outfit.
Huh. Okay. Well,
we'll talk about that off the air.
But June 1st, Scott and I are going to be the grand marshals of the Buffalo Grove Pride Parade.
My mom said I would never make it to Buffalo Grove, and here I am.
Here you are.
Here I am in Buffalo Grove.
Well, my parents lived in Buffalo Grove for a time, and I grew up very near Buffalo Grove, so it's kind of a coming home for me.
Yeah.
That I never really
hometown girl.
Yeah, I'm a hometown
Being
girl.
proud.
Northwest suburbs.
Come on now.
Yep.
Next week I'm going to be off the air next week.
Yes.
I am headed to Memphis, Tennessee to go see some friends. For a really, really quick trip. And you and
Kathy and I are going to be doing the host and co-hosting duties. I always love it when Kathy comes on with us. She's a radio professional for over 30 years, and she's great, and she's going to be my co-host. And
she was on the last time I was in Tennessee.
Yeah, she was.
I was listening. Listen, I have to admit, I'm a little nervous about going to Tennessee. Just in terms of being a gay man. Driving through.
Well, I know Nashville's a blue bubble, but what about Memphis?
We have the Memphis proper. I mean, Memphis is small though. I mean, you have to remember that it's like it's a big city, but it's not like Chicago big.
No,
and there is definitely a blue bubble that's happened. They had to postpone their hands off protest because there was severe flooding and rain that was happening on the day, and they did it yesterday. And talking to friends down there who popped out and saw all their snarky signs, which I just love. They said they had a great turnout that happened there. There is a very big blue bubble that is happening in this neighborhood of Memphis called Midtown, but you go across this parkway and you're definitely into Trump land, and it's a little daunting. And I always get a little, I don't know, maybe I'm just being foolish and squeamish. Most of it is also like I just don't want to give them money. I don't want to give Tennessee my money.
You're not going to be there super long. So.
No, but still. But you know what I mean?
I agree. I mean, I hate spending money, and we can vote with our pocketbooks and stay away from places that are not supportive. But there are blue places. Fort Lauderdale's a blue bubble in Florida, and New Orleans and Louisiana. Nashville and Memphis in Tennessee. But you want to support.
But even Nashville is like.
Well, it's pretty
more
blue.
Purple. I mean, same thing with they go blue, but literally you go outside the city limits.
Well, outside is a different story. Yeah.
And it's not that far up to get outside.
No,
it's not like Chicago.
Yeah, right. We're in different.
And it's a very interesting thing. I don't know. I'm just.
But what's going on now is nonpartisan. When people's 401ks is nonpartisan. When people start losing their money, you talk to people that tell you, I'm a fiscal Republican, I'm a social Democrat. Well, what are you finding in your party right now that covers, the fiscal part? Because telling people. We have a president, obviously, that is just throwing darts against on a dartboard.
Not even darts. He's just throwing ketchup at the wall is what he's doing.
He's unstable. He's a narcissist, and he thinks he knows how to play people. He plays them like he always has, which is like a mob boss. I'm going to shake them down. I'm going to threaten them. This is a playbook that's, if you've ever watched a gangster movie, you've seen the playbook before. I know there are Republicans out there that are feeling what those of us that have been Democrats and liberal for years are feeling, which is this is crazy. And his approval ratings are starting to show it. That, I hope, is going to wake up the Republican Party because they are the ones that have the control right now. They, as we talked about earlier, they're worried about being primaried. How about worried about your country? How about worrying about the democracy that you claim to have? How about your patriotism that you claim to be a part of? None of that. If you're defying the Supreme Court, if you're making executive orders that are putting all of your people. Remember, if you're a Republican elected official, your constituents are not just the Republicans that elected you. They're everybody.
Yep.
They're everybody. And you can see the majority of people right now are not happy with what's going on with the Republican administration. And they got to wake up.
Well,
they got to wake up. They do
have to wake up, but that's why they're canceling town halls, so they don't have to answer these questions. And they're claiming that people are being paid to go there. It's
the truth will hopefully come out, and there's going to be a lot more of these demonstrations as the weather gets better. The hands off was just the start last Saturday.
There is another one that is scheduled for, I believe, May 1st. Indivisible Chicago is going to be a part of it. This time they're focusing, it's going to be more about leaders from the labor and immigration folks that are going to be in charge of it. And Indivisible Chicago is supporting them and being a part of that. That's May 1st. If you want to go to indivisiblechicago.com, go over there to find out information about upcoming actions.
.org.
It's probably .org. Sorry.
Yeah.
It'll take you there.
It'll take you there.
It'll take you there.
That's a way to stay active. I know people feel good when they get out and do and show that this is what democracy looks like. It's empowering, and I'm going to go to as many of these as I can because there's safety in numbers, there's beauty in numbers. It just makes us feel good to know that we're doing something. Mm-hmm. And they will have to take note. They will take note.
They will take note. And again, this is also a message that is being sent to the world. Coverage of these protests, like the one that we had on the 5th, it really matters. It really does matter. Like you had a whole city reschedule their march because of, it was that important. But they rescheduled it, and that is the moment. And for all of these people who are out there waving, their GOP flags about, this is what we're patriots, and our America first in our country. It's
Jesus and all of it. Yeah.
Well, the whole Jesus thing, they got to keep that out of there, because every single, as we've discussed ad nauseum, every single one of their policies does not follow any of the teachings of Jesus, which is what they want to keep.
It's their made-up Christianity, is what they're doing.
It is. It's this strange sort of sect that I don't quite understand. But I also don't get it. They're all so proud about America first, make America grow. Right now, the world hates us. Mm-hmm. So how is that advancing any sort of American agenda?
It's like an isolationist mentality. But I do believe in the majority of people. Remember, I keep harping on it. Almost 90 million, did not vote. And there's got to be a lot of people in that group that are kicking themselves.
Oh,
because
of course.
they are the ones that are...
Well, of course,
the Trumpers are always going to be Trumpers. But what they can do is make sure they get out and vote, make sure they get out and protest, make sure they fund the groups that need to be funded right now, that need our support more than ever. So as we approach the Easter week of rebirth, it's a time to think about what you can do, because there are things we can do.
There are things that we can do and that we need to be doing.
So speaking of doing, I know, are you going to be traveling on Easter Sunday back?
Yes.
Do you have no Easter plans?
Literally is. We are driving on Friday, seeing a play on Saturday, and driving back on Sunday.
So will you not be having any kind of Easter spring celebration?
I don't know. Maybe. I mean, it's like closing night of the play, so there might. I don't know.
Afterwards.
But even that, I don't even. It's kind of up in the air. We are literally going to support our friend.
Yeah, I know how that goes.
How about you? Because I know it's cracking red egg times.
We're doing both the Greek Easter and we mainly celebrate Greek Easter, but I got to find food that's going to, 2 people eat lamb, 2 people don't eat beef, 2 people don't eat ham. What the heck am I going to cook?
Vegetarian. Make something, make it delicious. For reals, make delicious.
I don't think my teenage nephews would appreciate that.
Well, then they can go get some nuggets or whatever, and be fine. And because those two, they always just check out anyway, and they sit on their phones, as as teenagers do.
As teenagers do. Yeah, that's how they celebrate.
But go vegetarian. There's an amazing or chicken.
What's
you
a
can
good
do
chicken dish I could do, Scott?
How many people?
Maybe 8, 9.
Oh, okay. So, I don't know. You can do a couple roast chickens right there. You can do many different things.
Mm-hmm.
That'll be my assignment this week.
Okay.
I will come up with some chicken recipes.
I may get some lamb, because I do like lamb chops. Do you like lamb?
I love lamb. I do,
My eldest nephew likes lamb, too.
I love lamb. Jerry does not, and I have a friend of mine.
Kathy does not.
Who cannot eat it because she grew up on a farm.
Oh.
And there were...
Usually they're the ones that eat everything.
Yeah, but she's like, I just can't.
Okay.
I just can't. Yeah. So, I don't know. And I know that's like the traditional Easter meal.
Yeah, it is. So we'll
and Passover, you got to have the lamb shank. Again, I'm ready to accept anybody's
it's still time to have Scott at your Seder table.
I would love to be
tonight.
at your Seder table, because it's the best food, and it's just such a wonderful story and the big celebration.
You like the gefilte fish?
I love gefilte fish. I am the only person on the planet. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. The ones that's just right out the jar, too.
I like matzah with butter on it.
I enjoy matzah as well.
I like the matzah. Mm-hmm.
I like matzah. Mm-hmm. I like gefilte fish more.
Ooh.
I like the apple walnut thing. I think it's Hera-Host. I'm screwing it up. Here I am trying to be all worldly.
Was it Krugel?
Kugel. Yeah.
My cousin used to make a great Kugel.
Kugel's
love the Kugel.
The best. I love it.
Yeah, I can tell I like all the carbs. Yeah, the Kugel.
Well, that's what the holidays are for. It's to carb load and to be in community with friends and family.
Absolutely.
So again, we just want to encourage you. Check in on your folks. let them know you got their back and ask for help if you need some, you know, like our guest today, Alderperson Dina Martinez-Rutherford. She's like, I rely on my community to help buoy me along. You've got State Senator Sara Feigenholtz, who's out there like fighting for our community and getting ways that you can be involved. And Dr. Susan McConnell from Let It Be Us, she too is out there getting folks to take care of the youngest members of our communities. So I want to thank all of those incredible women for being a part of our show today. Devin, thank you so much for running everything so smoothly. Paul, thank you. And thank you for the chicken wings. That's all I got to say. Thank you for the chicken wings. Ellen Miller, have a great show next week.
Safe trip down to Memphis.
Thank you. I will. And I'm Scott Duff. And until next week, stay proud.